Welcome back to Wellness Wave Radio. Thanks for tuning in this morning to ride the wave with us. Each week our goal is to give you at least one suggestion that will make your life a little better. My name is Phil George. I'm a clinical biochemist, a certified personal trainer, and a health coach. Please remember that everything we discuss in the show is for informational purposes only and should not be taken as medical advice. Always seek the advice of your doctor. Just want to mention before we get started with Art, is we got a seminar tomorrow at the Leicester Senior Center, 10 to 11, so come on down. Also want to mention as part of the grant, if you want a one-on-one health coaching, which I normally would charge for, this is included in the grant. So I sit down with people, I'll look over your lab work and look over your supplements and stuff like that. So tomorrow, 10 to 11, come on down. So we have Art, the station manager here, and we're going to have a nice discussion on heart health. And one of the reasons is because you had a major surgery for heart, right? Can you go over that with us?
Yeah, well, it started, I went to my regular physician, for a checkup, and actually with new physicians because a lot of them retired, and to try to get a new one is difficult. And I just mentioned to her now and then my heart will flutter. And she goes, oh, really? Well, we should have you checked out. And yeah, very timely. They had me down at the UMass, down by Lake Ave. They went and they basically set up a stress test. And I did the stress test and through a, what do they call them?
Treadmill?
Yeah, and then they really started zipping up the thing, and I'm there, whoa. And I said, yeah, I had enough. And the guy said, well, usually someone your age could go a minute longer. And I go, well, yeah, well, I can't. So they laid me down and they did the, it's like what they do for a baby, when they can, what do they call it?
An echocardiogram.
Yeah, well, yeah, but it's
ultrasound.
Yeah, ultrasound. And they could actually see the heart beating, and they record it, and then they had they weren't sure, so then they had this elderly doctor come in. And he had, and he was looking, and he goes, yeah. He said, well, we need to have you go in, and they're going to do a examination of your heart. They'll either do it through your wrist or your groin area, and if need be, they could put a stent in, but exploratory. I said, yeah, okay. And he said, but we're going to try to get you in right away. And I wouldn't go home and do a lot of activities. I said, well, what do you mean? Oh, well, I said, I do yard work. Yeah, I wouldn't do any of that. And the funny thing is they told me not to sleep on my left-hand side. I don't know why.
Well, but your heart is more on the left side than it is on the right side. But for the audience, just so that they know, so what happens is the ultrasound, it's also called an echocardiogram.
Okay.
And what they do is, and this is a great test for anybody, because there's two conditions with the heart. One could be a mechanical issue, like valves aren't working right. Okay. It could be clot. That's a mechanical. You work with cars. Mm-hmm. So in other words, maybe the pistons aren't working correctly. Yeah. Maybe this. But there's two parts to the cars. There's an electrical part, right? And then there's a mechanical part. Mm. So the heart is basically an electrical pump, okay? So all the valves could be working, opening, closing, and things like that. But the other thing that happens is you also have something, it's called your vagus nerve. It goes down and it kind of like, it sends electrical signals to your heart to beat. You have to have enough potassium and magnesium. So they kind of looked over there and they looked into the mechanical part. And then the other part they want to look in basically is going to be the electrical part. But what the other thing they're talking about is called the cardiac catheterization, which means
exactly, yeah.
They used to do it through the groin at one time.
Yeah,
I had one done, or they can do it through the wrist.
Right.
And then what they do, they go in there. It's a camera. It's a tiny little camera, and actually they can see it. And actually, you could probably see too. And they go up there, and they can see you got how much clotting do you have in there. Remember we talk about the pipe like like in your house. So all of a sudden you turn the water on, not enough water coming through. So most people don't realize, but they say actually one of the first signs of a heart attack is actually death. Sometimes it kills you right away because it's totally clogged up. So that's what they're looking for. So with the cardiac cath, what they're doing, they're going up there and they want to see how much clot, how much clot you have. So I'm sorry, when do we take it from there?
No, and you're right. But when they did that, the person doing it, the doctor, I would assume, or the surgeon, whatever he is, he basically goes around. First of all, they don't knock you completely out. They sedate you like you were having a examination of, you know, whatever. They don't put you completely out. So you're in la la land. I didn't even know they were doing it. And he comes around, they had like a little shield, so you couldn't actually see him doing the procedure. And he just said, yeah, I can't do anything. He said, you're going to have surgery. And I'm there, well, what do you mean you can't do anything? He goes, it's basically plugged, and he says, I can't do anything. If I try something can get loose, go into your heart, and you'll be done. I goes, well, I guess the second option would be better then. I mean,
Yeah.
I would say, yikes. And he wouldn't do it anyway. So at that point, I was at UMass, the one down by the lake again. Everything was done down there, and that was on a Monday. And they wouldn't even let me out of the hospital. I said, well, they said, we think we can get you in Friday to have the surgery. And I'm there, oh. And I said, well, I can go home and I'll come back, you know, Thursday or that morning. No, you're not going anywhere. You're staying here. I'm there, oh. So I waited, and they did get me in that Friday to do the surgery. And I really didn't know how serious it was, but yikes.
Right.
It was, yeah, it was, you know, you're nervous about any of that business. And I did meet a lady that used to walk the halls. You know, they want me to keep walking. And as soon as you have that surgery, a couple of days later, they want you to be walking around. Well, I met a lady that just had it done. And she goes, you know, it's not really all that bad. And first couple of days a little rough. And so it kind of made me relax talking to her because she went through it. And so went down there, and of course I'm kind of hairy, so they had to shave everywhere because they took a vein out of my leg also. And it was a left artery was basically plugged. And I didn't realize it, but they call it the widowmaker.
Mm.
Yeah, you have a heart attack with that, 12% chance you might make it.
All right,
Not
well,
very good.
Yeah.
And I did, they didn't tell me any of that because I probably would have been really scared out of my wit. But I got to just tell you one quick thing. The Friday was the scheduled, and Thursday morning around 5 o'clock in the morning. By the way, hospitals get up awful early. I don't sleep till 8 o'clock there. Bang, they're up. They come in at like 5 in the morning, and they said, listen, we got an opening today. How about doing it today? And this was on a Thursday. I'm there, oh my word. I haven't talked to my family, and I was nervous, and I called my wife up, and I called my son up, and I said, well, at least I talked to them once before I'm going in. And then they came back and said, no, you wouldn't be ready. We couldn't get it done today anyway, so sorry for waking you up. And I'm just scared out of my mind. I know, oh man. So went in for the operation, and there's nothing private when they start shaving, trust me. And I went in, and they gave me some bug juice. I don't ever I remember getting in the elevator, but I don't remember anything after that until the next day or the next morning. I woke up, and it was in the nighttime, and they kind of woke me up and said, oh, we got to do some blood work and this, that, and the other thing. And well, it was kind of scary. They got tubes coming out of you below your ribs, and then they have the electrical things coming out. I didn't look at any of that.
Do they have you on blood thinners now? Like Coumadin or heparin for a medication?
Aspirin.
Or just they're giving you a baby aspirin?
325 milligrams. So it's more. That's 4 baby aspirins.
Okay.
Baby aspirins, what, 81 milligrams?
Right. Because what they used to recommend, Art, is everybody, in fact, they went back and forth with this. One of the problems with aspirin, it can cause a lot of stomach distress, you know. So what they do is they call it enteric-coated. So it's coated with this thing, and that's probably what they gave you.
Yeah.
Because what happens is once it gets into the stomach, it'll break it apart, but then it gets into the intestines, and then so it doesn't irritate your stomach. So it's probably what they call enteric-coated. So for the listeners, if you're looking to take a baby aspirin, if your doctor they should tell you this anyway, it's called enteric-coated. And what it'll do, they give you something called Plavix for platelets, nothing like that. Doesn't sound familiar. Just it's basically the baby aspirin.
Yeah, that's the only thing they gave me. So anyways, when I woke up, they were giving me some painkillers. What is it,
Oxycontin.
Yeah, whatever, 10 milligrams or something. And I really wasn't in any pain. And I said, well, I really don't feel any pain. And they goes, well, we want to keep ahead of it. So they gave me that 10 milligrams. And then the next time they came, which was maybe, I don't know, 6 hours later or whatever, they were saying, well, I said, I don't think I need that. And so they went to 5 milligrams, and they said, how do you feel? And I said, well, no pain. And so I was lucky. No pain ever. There was no pain.
Wow.
Except if you coughed or because I think they do something when they knock you out. That was a full anesthesia there.
Yeah,
it wasn't.
So what you know, when they do anesthesia, they'll actually put it down your esophagus. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times people you'll wind up with a sore throat. Obviously, they're putting a tube down there to get into your lungs. So that's probably the reason why you had a sore throat.
Well, I didn't have a sore throat.
Oh, but even better, they did a good
job. I had
job.
no pain whatsoever. But the thing is, when they do that, there was a little phlegm that can be in your lungs. Well,
sure.
Now, try to cough that up.
Yeah.
Yikes. That was like a whole different ball game. But they give you a pillow, and you hold it as hard as you can on your chest when you do that. Because they split you wide open, and they use staples on the inside, and they glue the outside. Mm. You'll say glue. Well, they actually glue.
It's actually super glue.
Yeah, it
really
is.
Exactly what it is.
I had that done to my knee when I had my knee replacement, which was also last year. Last year, 2024, was a tough year for me, trust me. With the knee replacement in February, and then November 1st, I get my heart redone, and I go, whoa, maybe we better calm down. But anyhow, that's what they gave you, a little pillow, when they tell you, anytime you get a cough or anything like that, hold it as tight as you can on your chest. That did bother me. But as far as the things coming out of me, and I didn't feel any of those as far as when they were in there. And I asked my children, and I said, I wouldn't come up after the operation. Even my wife, they said, there's no need of doing it because he ain't going to recognize. When we bring him back into the
recovery room.
But it's intensive care. Recovery room. And I'll tell you, the care down there was incredible. They had one nurse with 2 people in that room, and she was right outside my window. So if I needed something, I just raised my hand, and she was in there in a second.
In fact, Art, we had the show here, and also we had Kelly Hamilton. She's an ICU nurse at UMass. So
really?
So she was actually, I don't know if she was on this particular show, but she was on the radio show, and she also gave the seminar at the Senior Center. She's a health coach now, and she works in a UMass ICU.
Yeah, well, they were exceptional.
That's good.
I'm going to tell you, they were really, really exceptional. And so it was time now that they started removing something. And also, they have something in your neck that goes into someplace. I don't know. Okay. So I had something in my neck. I had stuff coming out of me. And then also, I felt like I needed to urinate. I go, oh, no, don't worry about it. When they look at the bag and they say, oh, no, and they got something up your private, and now the weird thing is it felt like you really needed to go.
Yeah.
Well, how are you going to go to sleep or relax when you feels like you're going to have to take a whiz. And I'm there, gee, now, well, that's common practice. You know, boy. Well, anyway, I got kind of used to that. But now it's about 6 in the morning, and the nurse, and she was from Brooklyn. She goes, yeah, I'm a Jewish girl from Brooklyn. She goes, I was married, but I'm not now because I like bossing people around. It was kind of funny. But she was like really beyond the other nurses. She was just sensational. And she goes, yeah, we're going to have to take the stuff out of you today. And it was like 5 in the morning. I said, well, can you wait till like 6? Give me an hour just to. She goes, let's just do it now. And, okay. And she goes, you're going to go 1, 2, 3, you're going to breathe. And then hold your breath. And I said, okay. And I really didn't feel him taking it out at all. I didn't feel the tubes coming out. And the thing out of my private, that's what I was really scared about. Yeah, it really wasn't bad. But the electrical contacts that were in there, that felt weird when they took them out. And they take one at a time, and it felt like I was getting shocked. But yet there was no electrical. But I still have them where they went in. There's 2 little dots there. But to get back before all that, when I was telling my grandchildren and my immediate family, don't come and see me, well, they came anyways. And my daughter and my son and my grandson came. And my daughter said the next day when I was talking to her, she goes, yeah, we were here last night, you remember? And I go, no, I don't remember anything. She goes, well, your eyes opened up, I held your hand, and you seemed to be responsive. And I go, no. But the reason I didn't want him to come, because I didn't want him to see me weak. I don't. Nobody wants to see you weak.
Well, that's
right?
that's the way men are. I mean, that's basically it's where that's kind of what we want to appear that we're strong.
Yeah, and I didn't want to, and I think it bothered my grandson more than because he's 28 years old, but he's never seen his grandparents weak. Well, they said. My heart was being controlled beat by electrical. They had a machine and they wanted to keep it at 80 beats per minute. So they adjusted the machine, and I had the tubes coming out of my mouth, and my son asked him questions about why do you do this, but yeah, that was yikes. That did bother my grandson. But that's why I didn't want him to be there. I said, no, I don't want him to see me like that. But anyways, after they took the next day, I think was the day after, they took all that stuff out of me. And then they said, well, you want you to get up and walk. And, oh, boy. So I got up, and I said, yeah, I can walk. So I walked, and then when I got back, my heart was racing, Phil, like it was out of control. It really was, and I'm there, and I sat down, and I just said, "This is it."
Just walking around normally.
Yeah, just a little ways, and I got back, and my heart was out of control, and I think because a buddy of mine, a good friend of mine, he died. They took him for a walk, and a blood clot came from his legs. Now it was he wasn't in there for a heart thing, and he died right when they sat him down. And my heart's going nuts. The only thing I can think of, this is it. And they said, no, relax, calm down. I guess I forgot what they called it, AFib or something.
The AFib, yeah.
That 50% of the people who have that operation, they say, it is a muscle, and they actually stop your heart. I did not. When they operate it, they can't have it going. So you're living off a machine.
Yeah, it's basically an artificial heart, and what it does, it takes the blood. Okay, it's taking the blood out of the artery into this machine, and the machine is basically circulating your blood.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
It really is.
That's how they can even do like a heart transplant like that. What they do, even if they do other things, they have to keep the blood going. So that's what they do with because they have to go in there and fix it.
But you know, like if you, let's say you get a cut on your hand or something and they stitch it. Now, you can't make a fist or anything after because you could rip.
Sure.
But now they're doing it to a muscle, what actually is got to start. That always I said, what happens if one of them stitches let go? Because they got to put it, I don't know how they do it or whatever. And when my heart was beating like crazy like that, I'm going to be honest with you, I got very emotional.
Yeah.
And that's one thing after a heart operation. I was very, very emotional about it. Anybody brings up anything, I was sad. I don't know why.
Well, you're close. That's when people actually face their mortality. That I may die. I mean, it's, and you think about all the things that what you could have done, what you shouldn't have done, all those things. Yeah, it's definitely going to be emotional. But so for the viewers to know, the reason why, Art, they want you to be walking around. They don't want that blood pooling. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
They want to keep it. They want to keep it going. And by you walking around, your muscles actually, what they contract and they kind of push the blood around. So that's the reason why, because they don't want you to have a stroke on top of the other thing.
Yeah. So they gave me some medicine. They said, no, this medicine will take care of it. And literally, when they gave me the medicine, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes later, everything was just normal again. And then they gave me that medicine, but they weaned me off of it a little bit at a time. Matter of fact, at the end of it, I was at home when we ended up with the pills. Now my heart, I'm going to really be honest with you, it beats perfect. I never have any more skips again. And I used to get heartburn. Like of course, I didn't eat properly. You know, I have a beer and eat some chips or something. Like if we're playing cards with everybody, or you put snacks out and you eat them. And so my eating habits weren't the greatest. Okay. But I thought it was the heartburn was from that. And I would get up in the middle of the night and take a cold glass of water or take a Tums or whatever, and I don't get any more of that at all.
Yeah, that's kind of they call a misnomer. It's not really heartburn. It's what they call acid reflux.
You had a show on that.
Yeah, we did a whole show on acid reflux. And one of the issues is, because what happens, as we get older, we produce less and less stomach acid. Okay, so the stomach acid, it's called hydrochloric acid in your gut. What it does is it breaks up the food. You don't make enough of it, so it kind of sits there and it kind of ferments, and then it comes back up basically through your there's a valve right here, and it goes back up. They say a lot of people wind up in the emergency room thinking they have a heart attack when they have acid reflux.
Right.
That's why it's kind of a misnomer. But what they gave you when your heart was beating fast, something called the beta blocker. And what that does, the beta blocker, well, actually it slows your heart down, but they don't want to slow it down too much. So that's why they titrated you off it. They brought you off a little bit at a time to allow your heart to take over and to be able to beat normally.
Yeah, because when I woke up that middle of that night, there was no electrical things. My heart was beating on its own, but yeah, it was quite the deal. The first couple days are the rough, to be honest with you. I mean, well, the first day you wake up, you don't know, and then when you know you got something in your neck, and you can't really move around all that much. But they did have a compression machine on my left leg, so that blood clots wouldn't, it'd feel kind of.
Yeah, it's compression. It goes like that. It goes in and out. Yeah. So what it does is because they want to allow your heart to recover. So by having the compression, and that's what they do with people with what they call PVCs, post-ventricular contractions, like in your heart, and that could have been what you were having too.
Yeah. So other than that, that day it was a little rough. Just I think mentally, what you went through, but the next day was not good at all. I got a headache. I mean, the headache was incredibly. It was on this side, And I mean, I couldn't have any light on that. So I would block, I'd take blankets and put it there, or my pillow I put up there. And then my daughter came and she put cold compressions on my forehead, and it did start making me feel better. And they said it could have been from the anesthesia.
Yeah, because what the anesthesia does, it really, it basically it does a job. It does a job on your brain because you're being deprived of a certain amount of oxygen and stuff like that. So yeah, that it could have been anesthesia.
Yeah, it wasn't fun. But then it got better and better as the day went along, and then other than that, it was really not a big deal. I mean, I stayed in the emergency, the intensive care for. Well, it was done Friday. I was there Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then Tuesday they moved me upstairs to where they're recovering heart patients, where you don't need intensive care anymore. And then they had me up and walking, and my heart was normal. And they said, "We want you to get up and walk as much as you can, but you got to call them to make sure you don't fall on the floor or whatever." But I was fine, and the food, all the food tasted the same. It didn't matter what I ate. Honey, oh God. But before I went home, they had me go up some stairs and come down stairs on my own. And I could walk around, and you had to take a shower, but you couldn't get the incisions wet at all. Take a shower, but keep the water in the back. But if you did your hair, it didn't matter. If the soap went on it, that was fine. And then the glue would come off a little bit at a time, and now it looks really good. But and now I can cough or sneeze, and it doesn't bother me. But one thing, like if I got an itchy throat in the hospital, I didn't want to cough, so I would ask for a lozenge or a cough drop, or whatever they gave me. But they had lidocaine in it or something, so it was actually a prescribed drug. That would numb everything so that I wouldn't cough, and I did not want to cough. I did spit up, and they asked me if I smoked. I goes, no, and they go, oh. Because when I spit up, it was kind of white Flemish, and I guess that's indicated that you smoked, but I didn't. But that was only a little bit, and then they give you that, what do they call that little thing you got to suck in, you got to.
Oh yeah, in terms of your lungs, it measures measures the if you're breathing correctly.
And you had to
your
do
lung
that
capacity
4 times an hour. So they said if you watch TV, every commercial you see, you do that, and you do it 4 times, and that did make a difference. I mean, my lungs got stronger and stronger, and yeah, it was quite the on-taking. So my suggestion, if you think there's something wrong with your heart. And it's a good thing I mentioned that to the doctor, because I was saying, it's been this way for a long time. But to be honest with you, I knew there was something wrong. I thought it was maybe, I'm getting older. I'm 76 years old. I mean, I'm not a young kid anymore. Am I going to walk up that hill the same as I was, in a grade like we have a little place at Moon Mountain, and my wife would walk up half the mountain and come back down, and I would walk a quarter of the way up, and I'd always want to. I'd say, well, yeah, let's stop, because my legs were tired, I was breathing heavy, and I thought, geez, maybe it's just getting old. Well, now I can walk, and I walk every day, half hour, 45 minutes, and then I'll go on and exercise and bike at night, and I don't.
But you kind of have been exercising your whole life, though, right?
Yeah. Well, they said that was the whole deal when they came in, and I was nervous before the operation, and they came in and said, "Hey, listen, you're the perfect candidate for this. You're not overweight. You're active." They could just tell I was active. Your brain's active. You act young. You are the perfect candidate. Yeah, there is a chance, 1% chance something would happen. Well, 1% is pretty low, 1 to 3% or whatever it was. But, the alternate wasn't very good, Phil, because after that, I went back to the heart doctor, and basically said, you know what you had? You had a widowmaker. And I know, well, what's that? Basically, your left main artery that feeds your heart was basically plugged. And they said, you are very lucky you just didn't drop. And I go, really? And they go, oh yeah. And most likely you would have never came back. I know, well, because when they told me not to do yard work, I'm out there raking leaves. Did not know. If they would have told me that, I would have not moved.
But I think that's what we talked about before. Even we had you on the show before with the knee thing too.
Yeah.
And your recovery time is remarkable. But I think that's what we can get out for the viewers. Is one of the things is because of your lifestyle, because of you're so active in what you're doing. That's really one of the reasons why you did so well and you recovered. So it's not too late for you guys. So if you're not active, get active.
But if you feel anything wrong with your heart, and you even think there's a little something wrong, or you don't have the energy you're running out of breath, just go and tell your doctor, your primary doctor, so they can send you to the right place. Because if I didn't do that, I probably wouldn't be here right now talking to you.
There's two tests you should really look for. One of them it's called an echocardiogram, and it's very simple. It's ultrasound. You just sit there and they put this, and they can see your heart beating in real time. I just read a study: 60-something% of anybody over the age of 60 has what they call heart valve problems. You don't have any things, but these are opening and closing the way they're supposed to. That's what an echo will show you. The other one that they do is the stress test, where you get on the treadmill and they hook you up to an EKG. And you know what? If you're not as in good a shape as Art is, they can actually put you. They can induce it with
a nuclear test.
Yeah,
I had that done. Don't have that done if you can help it, because I had that done and yet they didn't find that, and that was maybe 5 or 6 years beforehand, and you swear to God you're going to die.
Yeah.
Because you run out. You ever have that done?
No.
Don't. I'm going to tell you, don't. If you can get on that treadmill, do the treadmill. I'm going to, oh my word, that was.
Yeah, because they force you, they give you a drug to make your heart beat faster. So we're coming up on the end of the show. And Art, thanks so much for coming on and sharing your story. It sure help a lot of people.
I'm glad I'm here to share it with you, Phil, because I feel way younger now. Like I say, if you have any doubt, or you think it, please go get it checked.
It's easy to do. Don't forget the Senior Center tomorrow, 10 to 11, and we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in. One of the most common questions I'm asked as a biochemist and health coach is, what are the best supplements to take? Choosing supplements is a tricky business. Many companies have poor quality control and questionable ingredients. In the past, I had to send clients to several different websites. I am now able to offer one-stop shopping for all the quality brands I recommend, with no shipping cost and a lower price in most cases. Just email me, philgeorge@charter.net, for a free consult.